Hey folks, Aaron here. A little update on our Kingdom Era ukulele project. The finish is curing. It's a shellac finish, so I'm going to give it like a week to sit before I kind of polish it up and see if it's good enough. And in the meantime, I thought I'd start working on the bridge and the pegs. So the originals, the bridges are two different ways. It's either a block of wood with slots cut in it, and then little holes for the string knots to fit in, or it's a block of wood with holes like this and bridge pins. And this is an off-the-shelf bridge pin. It's actually, and when I looked at the original instruments, the ones that looked like they had original equipment on them had very small bridge pins, even smaller than this, that were made of koa wood. And I just don't think anyone else in the world was using koa wood for bridge pins, so I think these guys made them themselves. Now, later on in their careers, in their advertisements, they advertise repair of all musical instruments. And at those times when they're running shops where people are coming in for repair, that means they're obviously ordering in strings, pegs, maybe even sheet music, tail pieces, banjo bridges. I think they're just like, but if you're gonna advertise that, you have to be able to order all that junk. And at that time, I think they probably would have been ordering some off-the-shelf components because that's what you do when you run a music store or a repair shop. But in the mid-1880s, when they're just getting going, all the pieces I see on their instruments are koa, except where it's obviously a replacement. The Bishop Museum specifically has instruments with like 2 koa pegs and 2 ebony pegs. So this is like the ebony tuning peg that we normally see on violins. This is the off-the-shelf bridge pin. I decided I needed to make my own pins. So for the bridge pins, it's not done yet, but I just basically carved it. I used my little Sloyd knife and a file, and I'm gonna put a little brass dot on the end. A lot of the originals have like a little pearl inlay dot. And I just gotta make 4 of them, cut a little slot for the string to fit in, get my friction fit in there, and I think it's gonna be good. It's already pretty tight. So anyway, I'm gonna carve 4 of those. And for the tuning pegs, I expected to probably use off-the-shelf violin pegs, but like I said, they had koa ones, and I think they must have been making them themselves. So I split some koa chunks off of the neck block, and when I split it, I make sure I have straight grain with no run out. And then I did use the first power tool in this process. I turned a peg on the lathe. Now, why did I use the lathe? Well, when I looked at the originals, they showed obvious signs of lathe being made on a lathe and then finished with a file. And I know from books that I've seen, shop inventories, and studies of like the woodworking shops they worked in, there were lathes in these shops. These big cabinet making shops on the islands, who were run by British or American cabinet makers, they were line shaft shops. A line shaft is like an engine or a machine that produces a rotary motion, and then you transfer that rotary motion with belts and pulleys all around your shop to run the machines. And most of them had a big bandsaw, big planer, big joiner, boring machines, and a lot of times a lathe or 2, because you'd be expected to turn decorative items in a furniture shop at that time. So I think these guys could turn these on a lathe, or ask a friend to at a specialty turning shop. And even though my lathe isn't run by a line shaft, the technology is basically the same. It hasn't changed. And so I felt pretty safe in this way. I didn't feel like I was cheating. So what I did is I turned it on the lathe and then shaped this with a file, and I'm still working on it. Add a little decorative dark line there. Hopefully I can get 3 more of these that look pretty close, and we can go from there. I was kind of surprised. It looks about right. The originals are about this scale. They're smaller than a violin one. They often have kind of more of a tulip shape. Sometimes that's a very unique shape to it, depending on the instrument. I kind of went with more of a standard shape, but it still fits my hand pretty good. And it was kind of weird to do this and then look at it and be like, yeah, that's it. That's a peg. Like, you made a peg. This is like a thing that I've just like bought off the shelf for my entire lutherie career. Like, I just order tuning machines all the time, but like, I could do it. Yeah, it's a friction peg. Yeah, you'd rather have gears, but I mean, like, technically this exists and I made it. So it kind of feels empowering. So lots more to do. I got 3 more at least of these to make. I might make 5 and throw the worst away. Same with the bridge pins. Got to put the brass dot, got to make the bridge right and get shellac on it. Quite a bit to do this week while the finish cures, actually. because I can't put strings on it till I get these things settled. So anyway, have a good one. Thanks for tuning in.